Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, you works of art, and hello, Monica Plant. I'm so excited
Hello,
to get to
Downy.
hello. I'm so excited to get to talk to you today. Monica is an actress and a coach. She's a wellness guru, a spitfire, a cutie pie. She's all the things.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
yes.
I love being all the
You
things.
are all the things. One of my favorite things I read on your website is you are all about healthy, beautiful, balanced, and a badass life. And look at
Yes.
you. She is
Yeah.
living her truth right here.
Hey, it takes work too. I mean, I still work at it, I mean, this is the thing that I always have to tell like my clients and my fellow actors and creatives and people like that. Like sometimes some of these wellness gurus and stuff and whatever,
Mm,
they make it look like it's so easy. And it all requires work and time and effort.
absolutely. And sometimes feels like it's worth it. And sometimes we get tired and we need a rest. And sometimes
Yes,
we get discouraged, and it's all part of it. We don't have to
exactly.
put up some sort of front that we are our Instagram. No,
Oh my
we're
gosh,
we're
no,
human
right?
beings
I
who
say we're all perfectly imperfect.
exactly.
Just be that.
Exactly. Okay. Well, speaking of perfectly imperfect, I love to start these conversations by asking the first question of the Team Brave conversation, which is, what does it feel like to you to be brave?
And I love this question. I have been thinking about it quite a
Oh,
bit because it's a loaded question, right?
yeah.
Because for me, I always think, well, bravery and the word courage, I think are just very intertwined, right? Kind of the same, like two sides of the same
Sure.
coin, if you will. But then on the other side lies fear.
Mm,
And so to me, I think in order to know bravery, we also have to know and understand our fear,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I think like when I think about like fear is old, fear is ancient,
Mm,
fear is what our subconscious does to, it's protects us. Like when it feels fear,
mm.
our subconscious jumps into that fight or flight response. And, back in like ancient times, that would be because, oh my God, we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. I have to run really fast to like live.
I always say be chased by a lion. So I love that you're
So
like, no, 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 even older than
even
that.
older, like, yeah, saber-toothed tiger, right? Or, now it's like, oh, we have a really big audition.
Yeah,
Like that fear is the same and our subconscious doesn't know the difference, right?
totally. Mhm.
And so I feel like it's just something good for us to know and acknowledge that, like, in a nutshell, whenever we do anything new or anything that's outside our comfort zone, including like looking into a future that is unknown or,
Yeah.
taking inspired action or any action that's like going to be scary, it's always going to produce fear.
Mm,
Always, 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 always.
mm.
So I just think that's important, I think, to know. And I guess for me, the process of being brave comes down to acknowledging my fears,
Mm.
like kind of dissecting them a little bit, like knowing that they're there, accepting that they're part of it. And so bravery doesn't mean you have no fear. Like you feel the fear and then you have the courage to do it anyway.
Mm.
Right.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I also think ultimately at the
Mm.
getting like choked up here, I think that, and this is such a piece that I think so many people miss. I think that the heart of every brave action or decision is like self-love, is like the ultimate act of love and
Wow.
self-love
Mm.
because it's loving yourself enough to do what is right,
Mm.
what is scary, kind of regardless of what that outcome is or other people's opinion or risk of failure,
Right.
right? Yeah. So,
That's what's coming up for me right now is
yeah.
like being willing to fail.
Yeah.
Like the fear
Yeah.
is, oh my gosh, this might not work out, or I might get hurt, or I might make a mistake. And like being like, yeah, keep going.
And
Like that's
yeah,
okay too.
do it
Like
anyway.
I love
Yeah.
myself enough to love myself through when I make that mistake, you know?
Yes, because we ultimately will, right?
And
We
yes, and
all
we can't
of
do anything without
yes.
being like, I'm gonna make so many mistakes as I try to accomplish this thing. Like,
I
oof.
just saw, I don't know, it was like a thing on Instagram somebody has said, and it was like a failure thing where it was like, people who don't move forward in life or they're sort of stuck down at the bottom here in this failure thing.
Mm.
And then the person who keeps going, literally on the stairwell, it said failure, failure, failure,
Oh.
failure, failure, but going up. So
Oh.
they're failing upward versus staying down
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
thing. And like I think about us as creators, as actors, like, bravery is it takes so many shapes and sizes. It's big and small. And
Mhm.
bravery for some people could literally just be getting out of bed in the morning,
Yeah.
right? Like that's brave. Fighting for others, like right now, like in this, climate that we're in, like real allyship
Mhm.
is brave,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, um, you know, creating anything that we
Yes.
put out into the world, shows so much bravery. I mean, it involves risks, uncertainty, like we said, exposure.
Right.
And that's something that we do as actors every time we act, you know?
Yesterday in my group coaching session, somebody shared a quote that they read and it like she was like, "Well, this quote really pissed me off." So it was something to the effect of like, your life expands in the same measure as your courage. And she was like, "F you." He was like, "Forget that." Because and what I said was like that quote is for people who are not being courageous,
Yeah.
not for the people who have been courageous for 10 to 15 years
Mhm.
every single day and are spent.
Yeah.
And like that's something I have to recognize of like how much courage it takes us creative people to do. I mean, even going back to like when did you move to the big city from
Mhm.
and all of
Yeah.
the acts over and over. And we have this reserve of courage, especially and with this reserve of energy and excitement when we first start something,
Yeah.
which can last us many, many years. And I find a lot of companionship and I find a lot of my clients find me when they're hitting like year 8, year 9, 10. I know
Yeah.
my hit the wall year was 11. I'm
I
like,
was like, I'm going
I
on like
can't.
15 here. Yeah.
Yeah. But just that, I mean, and I've been here for 16, but I know that it was like, I need to do something different or I
Yeah.
need to do this differently
Yeah.
because the initial energy to go, 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 go and face that fear and face that fear and face that fear and go into that meeting and not know what you're doing and did it all over and over. We got to recognize that there's a toll.
Oh yeah.
And so for my client and my friend who was saying, this quote was frustrating, it was like, because that quote's not for you right now. The
Yeah.
quote you need is like, you have been so brave for so long. Let's take a like let's just stay here.
Yeah.
We don't even have to retreat. You can retreat if you need to, but like just stay and let's regroup. Like let's go to the mental health infirmary and the emotional
Yeah.
infirmary and like
Well,
build up.
that's where
Yeah.
that renewing, refreshing, like knowing how to actually like really take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I do think a funny thing about bravery is like we never actually feel brave when we're doing that brave
No.
thing. Like we feel scared shitless. It's sometimes so painful, overwhelming. Like it's literally like our guts are being torn out sometimes, right? It feels anything but brave. And that's why I always think like I look at other people's brave actions.
Yes.
I think they're way more braver than I am,
Right.
right? Even though I
Because we're
look
on
at
the
like,
outside of it,
yeah, exactly, because 'cause we're
Yeah.
not experiencing that like heightened emotional response that they're experiencing, right? We're just seeing the outcome
Yeah.
and forgetting like what that feels like,
Totally, and putting it in a little frame, like a little picture frame of that moment versus seeing living through
Yes.
the wholeness of their life.
Yeah.
So, I I just love you were talking so much about, like, us as creatives and us as artists and all of that, and so I wanna ask you, what is it that you create, and what is it that you like to create? Sometimes they're the same, and
Mm.
sometimes they are a little different, so
Oh, that's interesting. It's shifted over
yeah,
time,
of
right?
course.
Like as we grow older, I mean, I'm a little bit older now. So, you know, I think, there was a time, I guess at the beginning of my, and so many of us feel this way, where I just wanted to create anything. I wanted to do
Mm,
anything.
mm,
And now I'm a little more specific about the types of work that I want to do, because
yeah.
it lights me up more. Right. And
Yeah.
that includes my wellness. I call that my other dream job. Right.
Oh,
Because
yes.
obviously being an actor, a creator, a creative professional is my first and foremost the love of my life. Right. And then doing what I do as a coach for actors and creative professionals and helping them. You and I, what we do is so similar. We just kind of come at it from slightly
Yeah.
different angles. And it's so important, the work we're doing. So I'd like to say that I create healthier, happier humans who
Mm,
create.
And you're one of those creating healthier, happier humans, you
Yes.
know?
Yes, exactly. And I mean, as far as the work that I put out in the world, you know, I feel so I really want it to have meaning in some way,
Mm,
like take people on some sort of ride, whether it's just having them question something, having them look at something different, having them experience an emotion that maybe they haven't experienced, or even experience it in a different way, look at
yeah.
people differently, look at women differently.
Mm,
uh it's all of that, because
mm,
we're at such an important time in history right now that, obviously I'm not going to turn down a bunch of auditions, but the ones that I get really lit up about have that,
mm,
you know have that in it,
mm-hmm,
because I think as artists, and creators in general, like we have a responsibility,
mm,
to show people something different.
mm-hmm.
And our industry is shifting, thankfully, especially in terms of how women look, are perceived, and all of that stuff. Like, finally, there's, work now for women of all shapes, sizes, colors, ages,
Yeah.
because that is truly what we are,
Yeah.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
taken, I mean, we still have so far to go, but it's happening.
Yeah. And being in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really want to be a part of that change.
Has that been a part of, because I know that you've done some producing. Was that part of, like, how did that come about? Because I there's so many
Yeah.
actors who, again, like you said, like, we just want to act. Like, we just want to act. Like, I never was like, I want to be a producer and a director and a writer. I feel like I found that in order to
Yeah.
act, I needed to also create something to act in,
Mhm.
or gather together a group of people, or, craft a project. But what was your journey into doing
Well,
some
it came
producing?
about for that reason of, like, I wanted to be perceived differently,
Mm,
too. The producing first came up with just, us wanting, me and a few people I was, working with, wanting to create different types of work, create different types of projects. And so we ended up producing a film that, again, this was years ago, you guys, and I hadn't even thought about it until now, but the lead of it was a high school wrestling film.
oh,
The
wow.
lead of it is an Asian American, like
Wow.
the lead of the entire film.
Yeah.
And he's not an actor anymore. He's a
Yeah.
director, and
Oh,
he's an amazing director. God, I hadn't even, to me, again, like, I hadn't even thought about it, like, at the time, like, oh, this is a thing, you know, but now
important
I'm
to be
like,
representing. It was like
yeah.
he was the right person for the role. It was the right story to
Well,
tell.
that was part of the story, was that, there was this part of the story of him being sort of this fish out of water in the
Mhm.
community. He was adopted, and it
Mm,
was, I mean, it's a really beautiful story. And I don't know
mm.
why I hadn't even really, like, thought about how amazing that is, you know,
You gotta
back
go
in,
rewatch it. You gotta put
yeah.
that out again.
No, I mean, it's been released. It ended up going through ultimately other, you know, because our production company, I ended up leaving and it
Sure.
changed hands. But the movie I think is finally has been released and it's a really good movie. It's called Beyond
Incredible.
the Mat.
Great.
But so that was my trial by fire, sort of at the time where I just wore, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And I wore a lot of hats, like a lot. You know, we did location scouting, I did wardrobe, I, you know, helped with craft services. I was
Right.
like, you know, on set. I was even doing like second AD stuff. I mean, it was just like all over the place. So it was
Right.
a great, it was extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But I did it and it was so good because then after that, um, I was like, I need to change my casting.
Mm.
I need to shift. At the time, I'd been doing a ton of comedy, which I love, and that's my forte, and that's where I come from. But I was like, damn it, I am a leading lady. And I
Oh, I
want,
love that. You just like decide. You're like, this is
yeah,
not work. Come on.
yeah, I was like the best friend. I was the funny best friend and this and that. And I was like, I want to, no, like I want to be the leading lady. I can do stunts, like, you know, and stuff like this. So I was like, I was, you know, I was a competitive ice skater. I was a dancer most of my life. I could have been a professional snowboarder. I'd worked in, you know, the X Games, like all this stuff where I was like, I'm
Y-
athletic, like I want
I'm
to do
using my
these
body.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, how can I do this? And so I actually went to my old producing partner with an idea for a short. And it ended up being sort of a like an interesting combo between Mr. and Mrs. Smith and oh my God, what is the other one? Out of, oh my gosh, it's a Steven Soderbergh film with Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney, and I can't think of the name of it right now.
Love it.
But it was sort of Out of Sight.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was sort of a combo, and it was about two spies in love, and it's
Is
literally,
this femme fatales?
no, this
No,
is
that's something
called
different.
Pillow Talk. Yeah, this
Oh,
is the
wow.
Pillow Talk.
Yes.
And, you know, we did it on a shoestring. I produced it. I was, you know, story by and stuff. And luckily, my producing partner, who happened to have been the lead in Beyond the Mat, he is a one-man movie making machine. And so
Mm.
I just got really lucky that, you know, some of the people I'd worked with on that movie, that feature, now came to work with me in this short film. And I just, you know, it turned out amazing. It did exactly what I wanted it to
Mm.
do, in that it was a sexy, short action drama, you know?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And
Mm.
it ended up winning like, I think 14 awards ultimately, like for Best Actress, Best Action
Wow.
Short, Breakout Action Star,
Oh.
you know, nominated for Best Director, Best Action, you know, all these types of things, Best, you know, cinematography. And, you know, it just, it was such an amazing experience. And, you know, I'm not even sure who saw it, but the
You saw
energy,
it, right?
exactly. But like the energy of
That's it.
doing that and knowing that, literally after that, that's when Femme Fatales came. That's when Banshee came. That's when
Yes.
Nashville came.
See, and this is,
Yeah.
I mean, to highlight a couple things that you did by just going out and making something for yourself. First off, you got incredibly specific about
Mhm.
what you wanted it to accomplish for you. Like
Yes.
there was a real clear intention behind it. And it was also you coming to the place of being like, I am in charge of my package
Mhm.
of what I'm putting out and how people are perceiving me. Like I get called in every once in a while for these like literally this last year I was like, "Okay, pedophile paying small child for sex."
Oh my
Okay, wow. And like clearly the opposite of my regular branding, but I got that role because I have a headshot that's like I will kill your children if you don't
totally.
kill me first. Like
Yeah.
I had because there are roles for like I think I went a little too dark. Like I need to be the one like struggling to stay sober is more my role
Yes.
than like
Yes.
still deep in it.
Deep. Yeah, I
Um
like that.
but like that sense of like I put there's that picture out there. So that's why I got that audition. And so if I don't want that audition, don't put that picture out there. But that's the same thing with you of saying like I am getting opportunities. I'm moving
Mhm.
forward. I'm finding work, but I know I'm capable of more. And how would they know, whoever they are? How would they know
Yeah.
without seeing it? It's up to me to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, only the real I had done some other things before that, before booking all that stuff and even before Pillow Talk where I had, you know, made my own scenes. I mean, this is so long ago, you guys. This was God, 20 2009, 2008. I mean, this is
Wow.
a
It
long
takes
time
a
ago.
lot of work to do. I mean, I moved here in
Yeah.
2005 and like just even getting a camera was hard.
Yeah, so, this was maybe, 2009, 2010, because I did Pillow Talk, I think, in 2011. I could be wrong on my
Mhm.
dates a little bit. But so, yeah, I had gotten, people together and made beautiful scenes. I mean, they looked real, like real
Yeah.
camera,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff back then. And, did that stuff because I was like, I need footage, and I was, and that actually helped some of the stuff because I had a lot of comedic scenes, like the romantic comedy stuff. And I went
Mhm.
really dark in one too. But it was the comedic ones and the romantic ones that looked really, really good and were really good
Mm,
scenes. And so those were like, that's what I had to show,
right.
so doing Pillow Talk, then also led to booking another short film, which is just something I'm so proud of too, called Buttons in the Ground, where I play that like kind of downtrodden mom, who's trying to keep hope alive, which
Yeah.
I hadn't had any of that either.
Yeah.
And so it just sort of
Created
led.
momentum for you
Yes.
too, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what
And
I was getting at.
empowering, it's an empowering for the, are you on the inside? So you're showing up differently in your
Yeah, and
life,
it started by me creating scenes for my reel before it was like a thing, before there was companies doing
Yeah,
it, you know?
we're in partnership with Rock Your Reel. Melissa Blue of Rock Your Reel
Yeah,
is one of my
yeah,
best friends and my producing partner. And there's a now like companies where you can go and have
totally.
them produce you little short films that are, but
Totally.
now, but you knew your instinct was right. Like I got to do this
Well,
for myself,
I have to figure this out because
Yeah,
otherwise I was just sort of like
waiting or sitting. Yeah.
waiting.
It
And
also
yeah,
gives such a
so
beautiful thing of like your time, right? Because then you're like, okay, well, I'm working on this and I'm producing this thing and I'm have a meeting with the writer and I got to get costumes and oh, I have an audition. Okay, I'm going to do my audition. Okay, show up for my audition. Are you guys good? We good? Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go find some locations, right?
yeah,
Like it isn't the thing that you're sitting around like, oh, if only I had, I have an opportunity to do one audition and then it matters too much. And
totally. The
yeah,
other thing that I think is super important to point out about that is not just creating your own work as an actor, producer, writer, director, whatever it is you want to do. Um, I also think it's so important to create a really rich, full life
mm,
outside of this industry. I think that
uh,
that is also the thing that when you go in for those auditions, they see it. They see that you have all of this other life going on,
tell me
you
more
know?
about how that came to you. Like, has it always been your practice? Did that change and you allowed that to focus? And then how do you do that? Like, I saw some beach pictures on your Instagram. Like, I know you're a girl who gets away. So tell me more
I
about
literally
creating.
just went away.
Mm,
My birthday was at the end of February. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And I was like, I need to celebrate this milestone. And, so did some quarantine action with a couple of girlfriends and went snowboarding for a
mm,
week. And then I just, went to Mexico for, another week. And,
mm.
I think these things, and the beautiful part now is that everything's self-tape. So it
Ugh,
actually doesn't matter where you
right,
are, you
right,
know?
right.
Um, I was just up north with my family and as long as you have what you're doing for your self-tape practice,
Mhm.
you have a self-tape kit, you know exactly what it does, what you need to do, how to prepare, do that, then you can be anywhere right now, which is pretty great. I know a lot of places are like, we don't want people traveling,
Yeah.
for that. But, I made sure everyone, my people knew and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, obviously as when we're starting out, especially even that first, probably 5,
10.
7 years even, like,
Yeah.
I mean, half of the time I've been doing it, I would say I was terrified to leave,
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And of course, as we all know, Murphy's Law,
The
the
minute
minute you go, you're going to get an audition, a callback of something.
it's my
And
first
everyone,
booking, I was on the
yeah,
other side of the country because I finally said, you know what? Forget it. I'm
yeah,
going to go take this job. I'm going to sell some jewelry. I'm going to travel with my friend.
yeah,
I'm going to make some money. And if I need it, I'll come home. And
yeah,
of course, I arrive in Philadelphia on the first day and they're like, you booked your first TV show. I'm like, of course I did. Flew home,
yeah. Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we have to be willing to do that, to travel back at a moment's notice, which I'm always willing, if that if that happens and things like that. But I remember one time I got a call back for a show, and this was years ago, and it was like the first family trip we'd taken, just my brother, myself, my mom, my stepfather, we were all going to Hawaii. I literally was boarding the flight to go to Hawaii with my family, and I got a call back for like a huge thing, and I was like, I just can't do it.
Mm,
And it's just taken me a long time. And now too, you guys, again, we are so fortunate that
mm,
I mean, I know so many people have been anti self tapes and have issues with self taping. I really encourage you. I have been self taping for 14 years because I've always had an agent in the Southeast,
wow.
always. So,
Wow.
I have been doing it for a very, very long time. Maybe not that, but at least 10 years. I would say at least 10 years for sure. Um, and I've been auditioning in that area
And booking,
and booking,
booking,
booking.
booking.
Actually, my first 3 big credits, like guest star recurrings, and including Nashville, which was a top of show recurring guest star for
Wow.
an entire season, that was all booked out of the Southeast.
Mm,
So,
mm.
this was even then when, people were like, "Oh, it's only co-stars and this and that," and it was just,
Nope, not
nope,
true. When
no,
you
just
have the goods, when you are the package, when you
mhm,
have the skill set, when you're the right person to portray the
yeah,
character and they're willing to see you, especially if you establish like a consistent, I'm sure those casting directors that you booked the bigger roles had
mhm.
probably seen you on a tape or two,
Yeah, yeah, for sure, and
maybe even a booking, right?
I think the office I booked all 3 of those things with is all the same office.
Yeah, well, see, you're
Yeah.
establishing a relationship, and that's the same thing I was thinking about when you were talking about the actor who then became a director, you worked. It takes some time to establish relationships
Oh, yeah,
that you can build together where you're building your creative lives together, but
yeah.
that is the blessing of it is we get to know people and ask them for their opinions or their
Oh,
advice or their help or that's the part I think that I have a couple of new clients that are out of New York, and we were talking about some of the differences. And I said, when I came here, it was very much just like, "Hello, I'm Lynn," and
yeah,
they were like, "Oh, New York would have loved you. That you gotta grab the attention. They need
totally.
those casting directors need to know that you can do that." And I was like, I feel like it's the opposite here. It's like
Oh, totally.
it's like, oh God, don't be a weirdo on set. Please, God, don't be a weirdo on set. And so I've had to learn how to really contain and bring my most authentic, most grounded, most calm.
Mhm.
Now, if that's not your branding, you do you. But a
Exactly.
lot of my branding is those deeper things, but my energy is quite big.
Mhm.
And even with the Nickelodeon stuff, you still want to be like, I'm a normal person and now I can put
Well,
it on,
they're definitely even Nickelodeon, Disney, all that stuff, they're shifting it to where they want more real, they want more grounded performances. I mean, that's where everything kind of is going right now.
Yeah.
And actually, this just goes back to what we were talking about. The rich and full life that you have outside of your acting career, the deep relationships that you have, the love, the self-care, the ways that you take care of yourself, the way you nourish yourself, all of those things that fills you up too, to be more grounded, to be more connected,
Yeah.
to be more intuitive, right?
Mhm,
That
mhm,
having those things outside that bring you joy, having
mm,
that stuff that just like I always say, like, life is meant to be good for us. Life is meant to be
mm,
enjoyed. And we get so bogged down, especially as actors, in like busy as a badge of honor. Like we have to do all the things all the time. We have to be really, really busy because we're not working a lot. And somehow that makes us feel like we're we're moving the needle when
Mm,
in fact we're probably not moving the needle. In fact, we're not even doing all those things that we're doing to the best of our ability because we're just not focused, you know. And so,
mhm,
you know, I've had plenty of teachers who coach about like do less more often, you
mm,
know, how to do
mhm.
less and work more,
Yeah,
and you know, in terms of booking more and things
right.
like that. And I think that this is a real key to that is, you know, we got to be happy outside of being an actor.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. And I'm not saying happy all the time, but we got to find that joy. We got to find those other things in life, whether it's, you know, doing charity work,
Mhm.
you know, all of those things like
Advocacy,
advocacy,
traveling.
political stuff,
Yeah.
traveling, getting to know, you know, other cultures, you know, or just, you know, whatever that is, spending time with your loved ones, which a lot of us are really just so desperate for right now
Right.
in this climate. And, you know, whatever it is, gardening, you know, making music, hiking,
Yeah.
being in nature, you know, that's a lot of it for me is just getting outside, you know, getting outside and just being one with nature. Like that's a huge
Yeah.
thing for me. It helps me really reconnect to my joy, reconnect to my body, to my intuition, to the earth, you
So,
know.
what would you say to somebody who is sort of myopic at the moment? Is like, I have to have the single-minded focus. You know, it just seems like I don't have that option. Like, what would be maybe even one step that they could do to just test it out? Because I think for me, when I was myopic, it was like, if I walk away from this for one moment,
Mhm.
and then I'd walk away and then I'd come back and get 20 things done and feel amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, what would you say of like, what's, you know, to somebody who's like, but I feel like I have to just keep running?
Well, your body will eventually put a stop to that. Like, so just FYI, if it's
She
not,
coming after you. Is what,
yeah,
yeah.
like soon enough, your body's gonna be like, like,
Mm,
and you're gonna hit a wall.
mm,
Because you know, we have this magnificent instrument, this machine, and I say this a lot to actors, like, we are hired for our entire instrument, and that means our energy, our
mm,
vibe, our confidence,
mm.
all of that. And when you are running on empty, you are not the only person who is seeing it, right? It's going to come through
We're not
everything
that
you
good at
do.
actors.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is like
Mhm.
that's part of the thing that gets us hired, right? That gets us booked is that energy, that confidence, our specific vibe, right? So in order to just even get connected to it, you have to slow your roll. Like, you know, you have to just even if it's just taking some deep breaths before you jump out of bed in the morning,
Mm,
like start small. What's your mornings looking like? What's your evening routines looking like? Like, are you taking time to eat during the day?
mm,
Are you drinking enough water?
mm.
You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
little
just
things.
little things like, and I think it's the all or nothing mindset that goes with our health too. And I always say this goes for that myopic being in your, you know, in your acting career and stuff too. Like all or nothing will always leave you with nothing because we cannot do it all.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like I said, that wall that you hit, you will end up sick. You will end up having to miss on an opportunity because you feel like crap, because you can't get out of bed, you know, whatever it is, you know,
Wow.
our body will tell us like enough. And I have a lot of clients who have hit
Right.
that wall right now.
Right. Right.
Right? And, you know, you cannot bring the best of yourself if you're only operating at 50%.
Totally.
You know, you know, that's why I said to perform your best, you have to feel your
Mm,
best. And so start small. And it's a myth of the diet industry, of, you know, even a lot of the wellness industries and, you know, everything, even our entertainment industry and everything like that. Like you have to do all the things and it's some, you know, complicated measures, extreme
mm,
measures. And it's like, no, that's their marketing, you know. Like I said, start small. What does your morning look like? How do you start your day?
mm,
Like really just start with some taking really deep belly breaths and maybe just set an intention for how you want your day to go.
mm, mm. Start there. Start
Right
small.
there. How much water are you drinking? I guarantee
Add a
it's not
glass,
enough.
right?
I'm
Add a
like, I
glass.
guarantee it's not enough.
Totally,
you
totally.
know,
It
but
makes
yeah.
me think about when I had kind of gone through my hit the wall moment and felt like so many different areas, and actually, in actuality, so many different areas of my life were not going to work the same way that they had worked in the past.
Yes.
And it took that time of rebuilding. One of the tools that I found was 12-step programs.
Mhm.
And as I
Yeah.
engage with that work, and I think one of the most shocking parts is couple years later, friends would start to say to me like you're different.
Mm.
And I remember it's when you started 12 step. Like people would say like I think that's what it was. And I didn't, you don't feel or see the changes right away
Yeah.
in yourself. Like, you have a little bit of a relief. Like, okay, it's not as bad as it was, but like, ugh, I still don't quite know. But for close friends to recognize your energy is different. Like
100%.
something in your cellular level, like, and I can look back at pictures. Like I was telling somebody this last night, like one point during my like challenging couple years, I was like cutting my own hair. It's like,
Ah.
put the scissors down,
Yeah.
like
Step away from the
step
scissors,
away from
Jen.
the scissors, like you can see this like kind of franticness that was coming out in that way. And then to go a couple years later, people being like, you're reacting in ways that are calm. You're not
Mhm.
beating yourself up, and people sharing like, I'm doing this work for me and I'm feeling the benefit of it. But somebody is even recognizing and noticing the changes and being like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
I love that. And by
Isn't
the
that so
way, that's one
special?
of the few things that we have. It's the only thing we actually have control over, right? Is how we
Mm.
respond,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Like we don't have control over what anyone else does, what they believe, how they think, how they act. It's our instrument. It's how we respond. It's that energy. It's that same thing I was just saying. And yeah, that is so special. And it's something that like it makes me like such a proud mama bear when I see that in my clients.
Mm.
Like the shift, they look different.
Yeah.
They have a different glow, like an essence, something like it's like they're finally dropping in to who they really are, right?
Mm.
And it's like, and we miss that when we're going. I have to do all the things all the time,
Striving,
or I'm
striving. When I get there,
yeah.
then I will feel.
And by the way, that is actually just a form of resistance. It's a form of
Mm.
numbing. That
Mm.
busy as a badge of honor, that all or nothing, that's a form of numbing out too, because when you're doing that, you're not feeling anything.
Oof. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So
I just
how
heard, sorry, go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
so how could you then perform? How can you drop into a character if you're numbing just by being so busy that you can't be
Mm,
vulnerable?
I heard this great um, conversation. It was Brene Brown's podcast, Unlocking Us, with Glennon Doyle.
My two favorites.
I know, right?
Love
Arr,
it. Yeah.
arr. And they're both sober. And
Mhm.
one of Glennon's phrases was like, "Since I got sober, I've never been fine again.
Uh-huh.
I've been furious and
Yeah.
devastated and angry and exuberant and
Mhm.
excited and happy and joyful and free, but I've never been fine.
Yeah.
Like feelings are for feeling. Like we are gonna
Yes.
feel them all."
And I love that. And you have to, as a creative being, right? Like, so many of us were so socialized, especially women. Ooh, don't be emotional. Oh, don't be that. Oh, she's emotional. Must be that time of the month or whatever that
Mm,
bullshit is, right? Like, we have to feel all the feelings. And by the way, when we don't, when we stuff that stuff down, that also produces imbalance and sickness in our body, right?
mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
people who are so jammed up, they
mm-hmm,
end up ill
mm-hmm.
because like feelings are energy.
They're real.
And
It's
and it's energy, right? We are all energy, right?
mm-hmm,
Like so feelings are energy. And what is energy? Energy is meant to flow.
mm,
Energy moves, right? So if we don't allow our feelings to flow through us and actually feel them, that's when we get so wadded up. That's when we
mm-hmm.
can't let shit go. That's when we get sick. That's when we, you know, like all that stuff. Like if you feel like crying, then cry
Yeah.
because it's just going to come
Process
up
it.
later.
We have to
Yeah.
process it through. I was thinking about this analogy of like, if I said, yeah, I ate this piece of food 2 weeks ago, but I haven't digested it yet. Like we'd be like, "Oh, honey, there's a
Gross.
problem."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh
Yeah.
gosh, like where is that? Like where is it?"
Same
Like
idea.
it's the same idea of like 2 weeks ago I got really mad, but you know what? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, then like where are you collecting that real thing? And like it's going to go bad. Like you
It's in
got
here,
and we aren't
right?
trained or taught or like there's literal step-by-step ways to process emotion.
Yeah.
Recognize, where do you feel it in your
In your
body?
body.
Let it vibrate
Mhm.
there. How does it
Yeah.
shift and move when you set your attention on it? Like so often we
I
think,
love that
if
practice.
if I let myself feel this, it will never end.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's what you said. That's a practice I do, and I'm sure you do it with your
Yeah.
clients too, where I'm always like, "Where is it in your body?
Yeah.
Like, where's the feeling? What does it look like?" Right? Like, what shape is it?
Exactly.
Like, what
Exactly.
size is it? And the more you breathe into it and just set your intention to it, like, it dissipates, it goes away, it
It
leaves your
shifts.
body, it
Yeah.
shifts, right? And it's the same way, like with nerves, before an audition, that
Mm,
fear, this goes back to being brave. Being
mm.
like, feeling our feelings, that's brave too. Because
Yes. Yes. You
we
don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah.
yeah, and fear is a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Fear is that, so it's like feeling all of that and then, still moving forward, right? Like that's the thing. I think, our life, I really do feel that our main purpose as humans on
Mm,
this planet is to learn how to give and receive love unconditionally. And
mm,
that includes ourself.
mm.
And I always ask people, like, name all the things you love.
Wow.
How long does it take you to name yourself? Like people will be like, "Oh, I love my family. I love my friends. I love this. I love that. I love everything." And they forget, like, where are you in that equation,
Mm, mm.
right? And so we have to just
Practice
feel.
it.
Yeah, we have to feel that shit.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
We have to feel that shit
mhm.
and let it flow.
And that self-love includes, I love myself even when I am angry, even when I am hurting, even
Yes.
when I am sad, even when I am scared, even when I am unable to do those things. Ugh, it's such a good
Yes.
practice.
Well, and forgiving ourselves too for judging ourselves
Mhm,
as weak
mhm.
or, whatever.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah, I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that. Or, you know, I think that's brave is forgiving ourselves
Mm,
too,
mhm,
and in my experience, every time we act with bravery, and move through fear, we grow, we
mm,
learn, we get one step closer to our truth and to living the kind of life we want, right? Like we've talked about that, like all the things that we want, right? The love, the deep, meaningful relationships, the success, the money, the jobs, the experiences. None of that grows in a toxic environment.
mm,
Right. So that's all of what we're
mm,
talking about, like feeling your feelings, processing it,
mhm,
like minding your mind.
mhm, mhm.
All of that is important in what we do as humans, but especially as creatives.
So this brings us very directly to Monica Plant Wellness. And I
Mhm.
would love to hear how you got into coaching and then some of the best parts about it for you.
I actually, well, like you, I had my sort of, dark night of the soul. If we're speaking
Yeah,
in script terms,
totally.
and mine just came from years of being addicted to diet culture and,
Hmm.
not treating my body well, you
Hmm.
know. Um, I was always on some kind of diet, I was always on some kind of cleanse.
Hmm.
I ate non-fat, low-fat processed foods thinking that I was doing everything right. And again, this was sort of a lack of knowledge too. Our food industry is not great. So, a lot of what I do is just educate,
Yeah.
people. And so I just didn't, I didn't know. And plus, I'd moved to Los Angeles, and it's like the land of skinny, tall, beautiful women.
Especially if you are like in that even category or tangentially, or you see, oh, there's people that are working in that category and
Yeah,
I'm close by. I'm not the goofy aunt. Like, okay, like maybe I
totally.
gotta up my game. Maybe I need to follow this path. Maybe I do need to be just a skinny little something or other, right?
Exactly. And I also, I fell into a really kind of interesting job when I first moved here because I had kind of fell into it in San Francisco being a fit model. And
Wow. I read a little bit
so
about this. This is a fascinating
yeah,
job.
so a fit model is, basically it's about the fit of the clothing.
Mhm.
And I've been doing this for, gosh, I mean, I did it in San Francisco. So I've been doing this, 16, 17 years now, probably.
Wow.
And so you have to be a certain size and you have to maintain your measurements, you
I
know.
wouldn't know how to do that.
And so in addition to being an actor, I had this on top of it.
Yes.
So I was, I was getting measured, once a month or whatever, and, things like that. And, you're staring at yourself all day in clothes while people cut and pin and talk about your body and almost like you're not even there sometimes. So it's
Wow.
very weird. It's an amazing job and I'm
You
so
need to
grateful
have
for it.
a lot of a perspective about it, right? Like
Yes.
not taking it as not making any meaning about it. It's like
Yeah.
my wrist
Which is hard.
is whatever, 8 inches around or
Yeah.
whatever, and
Yeah.
that is a number, right? But
Yeah,
it would take a lot
exactly.
of mental strength to not make that,
Yeah,
not tell a
it's hard,
story about it. Yeah.
and I didn't have that fortitude. I
Yeah.
didn't know how to work with mindset and, all of that kind of stuff
Yeah.
and perspective, and so, I just fell into what a lot of people do because that's how we're socialized, like diet, do a cleanse, like starve
Work
yourself,
out a
eat
bunch.
yeah, all that kind of stuff, and, every time things started going this goes back to what we were talking about before, every time things started going well for me, I would get super sick. Like, I would be laid out with, like, a massive sinus infection or
Hmm.
something, and I would have to just, like,
Hmm.
stop, but I never was making the connection,
Hmm.
right? I was doing what we were talking about. I was going, going, going. I was doing all the things
Hmm.
all the time, every day,
Hmm.
you know, and my body would just,
Nope.
like yeah, I would get sick, and so then I would get super upset and it was just that thing, and
Cycle.
it was a massive cycle, and I just kept doing it,
Hmm.
you know, and I kept getting sick,
Hmm.
and I finally finally got really sick, where I ended up with sort of this, you know, it comes from the same family of bacteria that causes food poisoning, but mine was like it lasted for, like, a couple of months. And, going to regular doctors who put me on antibiotics, and I just got sicker and sicker. And I was, oh my God, I mean, I just,
Wow.
yeah, I couldn't function. I was like getting sick all the time. It was just like
Yeah.
I couldn't keep any food down. It was a nightmare.
Oh.
And I had to finally I sought out someone like me. I sought out a holistic health and nutrition coach
Mm.
because I'm like we were saying earlier, like I got to do something different. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't working and how I'm living my life is not working.
Right.
And I was literally, I mean, it's a form of self-sabotage doing that, living that way,
Mm.
you know? And we see it very clearly famous people
Right.
where
When
they
when
hit,
the high is so high and the
Mhm.
low is so low.
Yeah, and they hit that, we can refer to this book called The Big Leap, which I love by Gay
Mm.
Hendricks. And he talks about upper limit beliefs, your
Mm.
upper limit problem. And what happens is when you reach so much success, love, money, whatever, you literally self-sabotage.
Mm.
And I was kind of
Because
doing
you're
that.
not supposed to be there. You're not
Yeah,
because
because you have this
your thought is
this old
too
belief or
high,
whatever. Yeah.
too exposed.
Yeah. And so I was doing that all the time. So I started working with this gal and, she got me on, stuff that was like really working on like my gut health and,
Mm.
because that's what I had to do. And so I got off all the antibiotics and everything. And we had to rebuild from just a more natural way. I just changed my diet, all of that stuff. And it literally changed my life.
Mm.
And she also approached it a lot from like mindset, which is what you and I work on a lot, and, things like that. And so I just kept thinking, how can I bring this to I don't, I didn't know what to do with that knowledge sort of. And then I remember like I ended up getting kind of doing the same thing again. And I got really sick on the set of one of my big guest star shows,
Oh boy.
and I had to power through it. And I literally was like, I'm falling back into my old habits. Like, what am I doing?
Right.
And so after that, I just was like, I'm going to go to school and I want to learn. I want to learn what this is. And so I did. And I got my certification, my health coaching, my health and nutrition certification. I got my life coaching certificate. Like I just sort of did all of it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly. And I did all of this sort of while I was on Nashville, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because, you do have downtime. And I was like, I'll just
And
study,
how beautiful it is that you had this recurring role that was paying, that you're like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm gonna put these funds towards this for
Yes.
me. I mean, it sounds like, it's like I want to go to school for me
Yes.
first, right? I know that this stuff works. I've
Yes.
experienced that it works in my body. Like there's this beautiful, fun story that's like from addiction or getting over addiction, or you're like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm in a hole. And then you like climb out of the hole and then you walk past and you're like, oh, there's that hole. And then you fall into the
Fall
hole
back in the
again,
hole.
and then you're
Exactly.
walking past, there's that hole, not going to fall in today. And then you fall in again,
Yeah.
and then eventually you're like, I see that hole. I usually fall in. I'm going to do my best. But you were
I'm
sort
gonna
of
make a
like,
different
it
choice.
has
Yeah.
worked so well up in your head,
Yes.
and you put yourself through school so that it sunk into your belly.
Yeah, so it was like in my bones. And, when I got off Nashville, I, kind of just I did like a few like interviews with like people who had, podcasts, like my good friend Dewan Johnson,
Oh yeah, great.
this is when he had just started his, coaching too. And he did his first summit. So I was a guest on his first summit. And at the time, Dallas Travers, who now
Loved Dallas. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know her now because
Oh
she
yeah.
hasn't coached
Coaches
actors
for
in a really,
coaches.
yeah, she
Yeah.
coaches coaches, but back in the day, I did something with her. And, I just started sort of attracting clients that way. And then, I sort of hit a wall where I just was like, I got so busy that I had to sort of pick a lane. And
Mm-hmm.
I just stopped taking so many clients as a health coach. I was still blogging every week, and I would still take a client here and there. And then I realized like what was missing. I really in the past couple of years was sort of like I was missing it, and this is what I was talking about because this is something I'm so passionate about. It brings me so much joy outside, but still connected to what I do as an actor,
Mm.
that I was like, I need to, what am I doing? This is what I felt was missing. It was that part of my
And how
sort
would
of
you define
soul.
the coaching, or the coaching specifically creatives,
Yeah,
or
coaching creatives,
that's what it
coaching
is?
my tribe, coaching people because, yes, I approach it from a health and wellness standpoint. And I think this is where some people get nervous because they're like, well, I don't really, have a health, but it's all of it, like
Mm,
we've talked, you know,
yeah.
it's, it's, it's how you treat yourself, how you think about all of it.
Not just what is on the outside. It's not
Yeah.
just skin. It's not just, the size of your body or the exercise or whatever. It's all of it,
Yeah.
and it's connected. Yeah, we don't have
Right.
a consciousness if we don't have a body to put it
Yes.
in, right?
Yes, and right now, especially, like, I don't, as like, I don't approach this from a weight loss perspective at all. I'm about, like, I want you to be the healthiest version of you, whatever that is, so you can bring the best of yourself to everything you do rather than just
Mm,
what's left of you. Because that's what
mm,
most of us do, right? And that going, 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 all or nothing, busy as a badge of honor. Like, we literally are just bringing what's left of
mm,
ourselves to, like, it's like what we have left, at the end of the day or whatever for our
mm,
self-tape rather
mm.
than putting our best foot forward because we're treating ourselves and minding our mind,
Mhm,
right? Because
mhm.
if we're not working on that stuff daily, like really cultivating, a mindset of compassion and love and, understanding where our blocks are
Mm,
and actively, working on that stuff, we just stay stuck.
And it takes a lot of courage to look at that stuff. And that's
Bravery.
where I am finding for myself, I need that coach for myself, as well as, I feel so blessed to get to be that coach for other people, so
Exactly.
that there's a container that
Mhm.
is like, oh, got that meeting on Friday. Better do those journals that I know I want to do, that I
Yeah.
know are going to be good for me. But like when we're like, oh, I should do that, or that would be good for me, sometimes we have to make that leap and make that jump and be like, I'm committed to making these plans.
Yes.
Whether that does mean investing in your own coaching, or whether it does mean reaching out to a friend and saying, hey,
Mhm.
I want to
Yeah.
commit to spending this month really thinking about my relationship with my body. Will you and can we talk
Yeah.
once a week? It doesn't necessarily have to be a financial commitment, but for me, I find that when I put the energy of my money somewhere,
Yeah.
the energy of everything else is like, here we go. It's a tool to be able to really, it's a
100%.
external proof of the investment that I'm making.
And every single coach that I know has coaches. I have coaches, you have
Yeah,
coaches. I work obviously with other coaches. Like I want to, you and I have talked about doing fun things
absolutely.
together. And I think that
Absolutely.
there's really interesting, because we're always learning, right?
And
And that's
we're human.
yes,
We're all
we
human.
all
Like,
need
and that's what
help.
I love about it's like neither of us is putting out this message that like, I have it all together and come and
Oh,
listen to
no.
me. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm a human, missed a meeting this morning. Like it
Mhm.
happens. Like, but we're working from a place of humanity, authenticity,
Mhm.
and intention of like, I'm gonna mess up and I'm gonna get better. What
Yeah.
about you? You know?
Yes, absolutely. And that goes with food and stuff too. And
Mm,
so many people have a relationship with food of good and bad. And it's
mm,
not. It's sort of I always kind of compare it to like it's really just how it makes you feel. But so many people are disconnected from their body that they have no idea that what
mm,
they're putting into their body, how it's making them feel one way or another.
mm.
And so until we start sort of like dissecting that relationship, you know, and while I do that, I also dissect like the relationship with their just selves comes up, about like
It's
their
a little
beliefs.
totem. It's like a little
Yeah.
icon.
It's the thing that you and I know is a big part of the coaching is like those beliefs, those stories that we tell ourselves our whole freaking life. And I always say you don't know what you don't know. So until you actually start uncovering those unconscious or subconscious, I should say, beliefs,
Mm,
stories, things, then you're just going to kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again and keep having to learn the same lessons. Because unless we can start making conscious choices that take us away from those things that we don't want and towards the things that we do want,
yeah.
we stay in that cycle. And so it requires bravery, which goes
Yeah.
back to our first question. It's all about courage and bravery. And, it requires a deep dive,
Mhm. 'Cause
you
we're
know?
gonna be on autopilot. The motivational triad is our brains are, you know, um, created to see, or our brains are evolved to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy.
Yeah.
So when our brains just do what we did yesterday, good job, brain.
Yeah.
Like, you're just doing your job. And now it's
Totally.
the higher part of us that gets to say, how do I want to make this work a little bit better?
Yes. And those subconscious beliefs that we have too of like the I'm not good enough, I don't
Mm.
deserve to be loved, I will always be abandoned, like whatever, they
We
are.
all have them, right? We don't have to
We
be ashamed that we have them.
absolutely all have them. And we also develop a lot of these stories when we're a kid. So it's from a child's perception. And we
Mhm.
don't know that our subconscious doesn't know that. Our subconscious doesn't recognize that.
Mm,
So again, until you're willing to kind of do the work, whatever that looks like, to you, to do the deep dive to go, oh, okay, that's
mm.
the story.
Yeah.
And then you can start going, okay, I'm going to choose differently.
Mm,
Because by the way, the universe will keep bringing those things to you over and over again. And you just got to keep saying no to them if they're the
yeah.
things that you don't want, right? Because we have to kind of retrain. We have to retrain our brain,
Mm,
you know?
absolutely. Absolutely. So for you, what would you say through your journey of your own wellness, your own understanding about nutrition and the coaching that you do with other people? Like, I want to get like three of your favorite tips, tricks, I know that that's not the main thing. The main thing is this deep work, but like, what are a few things, let's just say 3 things that maybe whoever's listening doesn't know about nutrition, self-care, or even beauty? Like, what are just
Yeah.
3 of your, I know that's a big question,
No,
but like
no, and
your
it may
top,
be
top
more
3
than
things. Yeah.
maybe more than 3 things. But
Yeah.
first I want to say this, and most of my clients laugh at me when I say it. Being healthy and staying healthy is not hard.
Mm.
We are so sold this idea that it's difficult. It takes, and it's so funny. I have a few clients now who are like, when you first said that, I laughed. And now that I'm in it,
Yeah.
I get
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm.
because we have the mindset that it's hard.
Wow.
It's because we
And it
have this.
creates that result, right? Like we
Yes,
think it's hard, then we feel exhausted, and then we don't take action, and then we
exactly.
didn't get it, so proves that it's hard, right?
Yeah, and
That's
so the first thing is to like look at what your feelings are about health and wellness,
interesting.
and your
Yes.
body is like, look at that. And do you think it's hard? Do you think, oh, I have to
Right.
go on that diet and whatever? And I just don't believe in diets. I don't believe in any of that. So
And it's not,
really,
it is valid to say it has been hard for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. But that's because
100%.
we're thinking about it, that it's
Yeah.
so hard.
Back in
Yeah.
the day,
Right.
that was my mindset, like, "Oh, I gotta do this thing," and,
Mm,
and the problem with diets and resolutions and all of those things is they're not focusing on the behaviors that have got us there in the first place. They're a
mm.
quick fix, they're a Band-Aid,
Yeah.
and we always then get off that diet, get off that cleanse going, "Oh, thank God, now I can go back to
Now
doing what I was
I'm
doing
donut
before."
time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first I just encourage people to like look at what they think about being healthy and staying healthy. And then I just want to remind you that really it's 5 basic things.
Mm,
It's what you drink,
mm,
water, right? How you hydrate. It's food. Are you eating real food?
mm,
Like really, did it grow in the ground? Did
mm.
it fly? Did it
Walk around a little bit.
did it
Yeah.
walk
Yeah.
around a little bit? Right?
Mm,
Whatever your thing is, you know, um, and how you move your body. Like
mm,
we're meant to move. We're not meant to be sedentary,
mm.
right? Doesn't mean killing yourself with exercise, but how you move, you know. And more than anything, I think how you think. Really, those are like the pill. What did I say? Drink, eat, move.
Move,
Oh,
think.
rest. Oh my God,
I
I
was gonna
forgot the most
say,
important.
I wonder if rest
Renew.
is in there. I wonder
Yes,
if it
I
is.
was
Yeah.
missing my other
Yeah. I
my
started
my
counting. Yeah.
yes, that's why I was like, wait, I gotta
They
count.
miss one.
But
Yeah.
so it's really like how you're drinking, what you're eating, how you're resting, how you're moving, and how you're thinking,
Mm,
right? But start small. The first one is always how much water are you drinking?
mm.
Everyone rolls their eyes at me, but let me tell you, it will change your game
What
if you are
does water
drinking enough
do?
water.
What does water do?
Literally, it's like if you think about every single cell and organ and function in your body, including your brain, is dependent on water.
Mm,
So if you're not getting enough water, you're literally starving your organs and your brain, right? So, when you feel like a lot of people think that they're hungry, but usually we're thirsty.
absolutely. I remember the first time I ever recognized the difference between hungry and thirsty pains. And
Mm-hmm.
it was fascinating because hungry, the grumble, the like, the pang, it's usually not actually in me. Hungry, that's thirsty.
Thirsty.
Hungry is like deeper and like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Like the first thing you feel in the morning, like people that grumbling in the morning, people always think, oh, I'm hungry. No, it's water. You haven't
Wow.
drank water for 6 to 8 hours, hopefully 8 hours,
Hopefully
you know?
9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully 9 for us women.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Start small. And you don't need to do all the things at once. Like start with, okay, how much water am I drinking? What am I eating?
Mm,
Am I eating a lot of processed packaged crap?
mm.
Can I
There's
add?
a and there's a reason
Oh,
why you're so hungry
yeah,
eating processed things.
you're not getting any nutrients, right? How do you move your body every day? Are you sitting all day? Can you take a walk
Mm,
and get some fresh air, get some sun?
mm.
How are you sleeping? And so my second big tip out of all of those things is just get curious is number one. Get curious
Yep.
about all of those things and know that it is not hard.
Hmm.
We're sold this thing that it's hard and it takes
Mhm.
extreme measures. It does not.
Mm.
Start small. Number two is, how are you beginning your day and how are you ending your day? Right? Like, what are your
Mm,
rituals and routines for rest, renewal? Right? How do you like, I think for me, and I've talked about this a lot lately with like, acting groups and stuff like that, is I think rituals and routines are so incredibly important, especially for creatives, because like how you start your day, I think is sort of a recipe for how your day goes
mm.
too. So if you're jumping out of bed, because you've hit your alarm 4 times, you get up, the first thing you do is drink coffee, you run
Get
out
on
the door.
Instagram
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly. Like that's really like that's how you're setting up your day then. So think of that frenetic energy,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
So this is, again, you can start small with a morning routine. Like, give yourself 5 minutes, you
mm,
know. Give yourself 5 minutes to do some deep belly breathing,
mhm,
and then maybe just think about how you want your day to go. Set an
mm,
intention,
mm,
right? And this could be fun. This could just be as simple as, I really just want to feel joyful today.
mm,
Like, it could be, um, I want my day to feel effortless and easy, and
mm,
I want to feel in flow, you know. I want to feel creative.
mm.
One of my favorites is, this is where you can have fun with this too, is getting into more of like the magic part of it. Like, sometimes I'll say like,
Yeah.
I am feeling so open today to all of the magic that the universe has for me.
Mm,
I'm going to see it. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to taste it. I'm going to touch it.
mm.
All right. Like, that's an amazing day.
And your
you know?
focus is going to be on the miracles. Your focus
Yes.
is going to shift when we are in that state.
Yeah.
It shifts. The same exact thing could happen,
Mhm.
and you're going to see it in a different with different eyes.
Exactly. So that, and you guys, that what I just did, a couple of deep belly breaths, a couple of deep belly breaths and setting an intention, that is less than a minute. So again,
It's
you're
doable. It's
it's
really
and
doable.
it's not hard, right? And you
Mm,
don't have to do all the things. You don't have to
mhm.
like, okay, I need to meditate, I need to dance, I need to journal, I need to do my morning
I
pages.
need to read
I
that book. I
Yeah,
need to, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, hey, if you end up having an hour to do a bunch of different things for your morning routine, awesome.
Go for
But
it.
what I'm saying is, none of this has to be hard, and it doesn't
Mm,
have to include all the things. Your morning routine has to be yours and
mm,
yours alone, and it
mm,
only has to serve you.
mm, mm. One of my favorite things I ever learned in 12 step was you can start your day over at any moment.
Exactly.
Isn't that beautiful too?
Yes.
Because so often we're like, well, I didn't have my morning routine. So we'll stop right now and have your 1 minute. Like
Yes.
we have a minute.
Yeah.
Everybody has 1 minute,
Mhm.
It was so freeing when you and I chatted, because I definitely know I need a solid entry into my day. And I am really honestly naturally much more of a night person. I
Mhm.
was a theater major. I was an
Yeah.
actor. I was a waiter for my parents are forgetting. I go home and I'm like, it is 1 o'clock. What are you two doing up? Like they're,
Yeah. My parents are
night
night owls too.
owls,
I've always been like that
So
too.
that is just part of it. And I struggled for years feeling so much shame that I wasn't a morning person who got up at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning and did their run
Mm-mm.
and did their, I can't, I will
Mm-mm.
cry. If I get up too early, too
Yep.
often, I will cry. And also there are things that happen for me later in the evenings. There are things that
Exactly.
happen. I need to have that energy to do that self tape at
Yes.
8 or 8:30
It's
or
9 o'clock
9
or whatever.
sometimes,
And
you know?
again, this ritual can be any time.
Mhm.
That's what I was getting at, is like,
Mm,
this can be like how you start your day. Great. If you can give yourself that minute, if you can do it in the middle of the day, or have a nice wind down routine. So
mm,
you actually are preparing yourself for bed,
mhm,
preparing yourself to have a good night's sleep, right?
mhm.
It can be
Because
anytime.
we need that release.
Yes.
We need that time to let our our chemicals just flatten. I really do love watching sitcoms with my husband before we go to bed, but I've noticed there's been a couple of nights when we were so busy that we didn't have time for it. We went to sleep, and I sleep better.
Yeah, of course.
Sleep better when there's no screens. And
Yeah.
it's hard to recognize that that is a reality. But it's
So
like,
that's,
oh, what do we do about
yeah,
this?
that's part of a nighttime routine. So you guys just would have to start slowly shifting when you guys watch your sitcoms a little bit earlier. So you have
Hmm.
maybe even just 5 to 15 minutes to like turn out, dim the lights a little bit, maybe light a candle, have a nice routine where you like wash your face or you stretch or you breathe, or I mean, whatever, you journal, whatever it is, these energetic shifts, that's what I'm getting at. Is the number
Mm,
two thing is having these rituals and routines literally will shift your energy.
yeah.
And literally, it could be as simple as, where'd my candle go? Lighting a candle.
Yeah.
That can shift your energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like
Totally. I'll
just
light a candle before I start a creative
me
activity.
too. I do that too.
I
That's a big
gotta,
thing for
we
me.
gotta like, here we go. Let's
Yeah.
let's let's do this. This is the time.
Yeah. Shifting from like mom mode into audition mode, or work
Sure.
mode into nighttime mode, or,
Sure.
whatever it is, just even shifting your body, like getting up and moving, doing an impromptu dance party for a minute, like whatever it is.
Huge.
Little things like that. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
all I'm talking about with these rituals and routines. They're just ways to shift your energy,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
Enter your day in a
And
different
allow
way.
that transition.
Yes,
It takes some, we were talking about this in group this week too, that like even machines need transitions.
totally.
You got to go from drive to neutral
Yeah,
to reverse. But
yeah,
we are like, I should be able to audition, then make dinner, then have
yeah,
that conversation. That
yeah,
why? Why?
yeah.
Why?
My
Right?
printer has to warm up. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
my
Yes.
phone has to get rebooted. You
Somebody
know,
told this sweet story about the dog. Like the dog loves to like take care of the people, but
Mhm.
when the dog's like in its own space and then it sees the person that the person needs some love, like the dog will always like stretch and like take
Mhm.
care of itself and transition and then be like, okay, here I am. I'm here to give you some love. Like
And
the
now,
dog knows to take
exactly.
care of the dog. Like we got to
Yes,
take care of the
exactly. No,
dog.
100%. And this is just something that we do all the time, is putting ourselves last,
Mm.
right? Putting ourselves at the bottom of our to-do list. And
Because
so,
we've been told and we think that that is what it means to be kind, good, generous. It means to be selfless, to have no self.
yeah, yeah,
I think that the I'm writing a feature about this
hmm,
actually,
yeah,
and I think it's such a fascinating misconception. Because it's that oxygen mask, metaphor. It's like,
100%,
how can you help anybody when you are
100%.
starving? How can you help
Yeah.
anyone?
So I'm saying, like, you cannot give from an empty cup,
Yeah.
which we try to do constantly.
Mhm. And we think that's
Yeah.
required. That's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So no.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you do that, when you actually do put yourself first and take care of yourself in a really meaningful way, like everyone else is going to benefit. Like your partner, your kids, your work, you
Yeah.
know, everything else will benefit because, again, you are bringing the best of yourself
Mm,
rather than just what's left of you.
mm,
Right.
mm,
So
mm, mm.
no matter, if some people grumble about it, just wait till they see the difference.
And they're gonna feel it and experience. You're not gonna have those side eyes and those passive aggressive
Totally.
whatevers, right?
Yeah, totally.
Beautiful, beautiful,
It's true.
beautiful.
And the last one is really just like we talked about briefly, is sort of minding your mind,
Mm,
you know, um, having, like I said, like those things that we want, all of those things we want to attract, all of the things that we want to experience, you know, can't grow in a toxic environment, which our mind can definitely be without real care and direction. And so, whatever that looks like to you, having, a very robust gratitude practice, you
mm,
know, meditation, you know, just having a few moments to breathe, journaling, any of those things, whatever it looks like to you, just ways that you can uncover the things that are keeping you stuck.
Mm.
and reframe that
Mhm.
negative script that we all
Mhm.
have. Like, and again, you
Uh-huh.
don't know what you don't know. So it requires that type of work and working, maybe it's working with a coach,
Help
maybe
me.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, oh my God, me too.
So much.
Yeah, journaling, any of those things. And I'm not a huge journaler. So sometimes I'll talk into my voice recorder.
Get it out.
Get it out,
Get it
right?
out.
So that's what I mean. It doesn't have to, and again, that practice, you do you, boo. Like whatever that is for you.
It's a toolbox more than
Yeah,
it is like a manual, right? Like you don't have to do all the things. It's just like, I got this little collection of art supplies. What am I
yeah,
going to pick up today? Am I going to pick up the clay or am I going to
totally.
pick up the paintbrush,
Doing
But
the
you have them.
artist's way, like that, something like that, getting out in nature, connecting to your body, connecting to the earth, all of those things that help you. Just the more you do that, the more you dig deep, the more you will be able to connect to
Mm,
yourself, to your intuition, all
mm,
of those
mm,
things
mm.
that, yeah, just help you literally call in and experience your true self and the life you truly want to live.
Monica Plant, preaching the truth. So good. So if somebody wanted to find you or work with you, where would we find you?
Well, everything is at monicaplantwellness.com. And I do spell my name a little interesting. It's
Mm-hmm.
Moniquaplante wellness.
And I'll have all of that in the
Yes.
show notes too.
.com.
Yep.
You can reach me there. You can always send an email just to hello at Monica Plant Wellness. And then I'm also on Instagram at Monica Plant Wellness or just Monica Plant. I'm
And
also
yeah, if we
just
want to
at
work with you
Monica Plant.
as an
Yeah.
actor, we want to hire you for something, then we'll
Yeah.
find you
Everything
there.
is just at Monica Plant or at Monica Plant Wellness.
That's
Easy
so
breezy.
great. It's so great. This has been such a special, sweet conversation. There was one thing that I'm going to go back and highlight and put in the show notes because I was like, boing. I can't remember what it is right now, but it really got me. So this has been such a great conversation. I just want to wish you all of the lovely blessings. I just want to wish you all the blessings and all the luck and all the things because I always say I want to create the Hollywood I want to work in. And like
Oh my
you
God.
are
Me
living in
too.
that same Hollywood,
Yes.
finding your place and making an impact as an artist, working your craft, and also taking care of yourself and those around you. So it's so
Oh.
beautiful. So
Well, thank you for that beautiful, and that's right back at you. Like the
mm,
work that you're doing too it's just so important that we as creatives and artists support each other,
mhm.
and
There's
luckily
room for all of us.
there's room for everyone. There is enough for
Mhm,
everyone.
mhm.
And I'm so excited because I have some ideas on something that you and I might be able to do together. So yes. So anyway, thank you
I'm
so
all
much
about it.
for having me. And
Love
thank
it.
you everyone who's listening or watching. I hope that this was helpful. And again, if you just have any questions, reach out.
Absolutely. We're going to go take walks and drink water and say loving thoughts to ourselves. Oh, so inspiring.
Yes. And breathe.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That too. Awesome.